African cultural heritage cannot be a prisoner of European museums. The President of France, Emmanuel Macron, ratified his commitment to return the valuable objects that his country removed from Africa during the colonial period. I cannot accept that a large part of the cultural heritage of several African countries is found in France. African heritage cannot be only in European museums and private collections, Macron said during a speech to a group of students at the University of Ouagadougou, in the capital of Burkina Faso. The French president committed to giving priority to the return of these objects over the next 5 years, thus opening the door to meeting a growing demand from many countries that have seen their heritage spurred throughout history. However, restitution demands are not always met quickly and, many times, give rise to litigation processes and long diplomatic negotiations.
Yes.
From the Parthenon marbles to the bust of Nefertiti, institutions refuse to return antiquities and historical heritage, which were stolen during the colonial era and caused diplomatic obstacles for decades in this century. And these are the greatest looted treasures displayed by museums and claimed by the countries of origin. Number 1. Marble from the Parthenon Liego. More than half of the decorations of the Parthenon, an icon of classical Greece, are on display at the British Museum in London. Marble, carved between 447 and 438 BC.
Listo.
Under the direction of the architect Phidias, they arrived in England between the years 1801 and 1805 after the king of the Ottoman Empire is said to have given Lord Elgin permission to exploit them. Asin has been asking for the return of this treasure for many years and has always received the answer no. A few days ago he asked the British government to exchange the marble for other valuable pieces. Number 2. Rosette Stone. Fragment of a granodiorite earthenware from ancient Egypt dating from 196 BC, found in Egypt in 1799 by the French army. A few years later, the British brought him to London after the defeat of Napoleon's army in Egypt. The Rosette Stone, written in hieroglyphics, was used in Demotic and ancient Greek to decipher the written language of the Egyptians. In 2003, Cairo asked him to return it. Number 3. Bust of Nefertiti. It is one of the preserved masterpieces of Egyptian art and was made in the year 1345 BC. It was discovered in 1912 by archaeologist Ludwig Burchard in Armenia, an area on the eastern bank of the Nile, and brought to Berlin, where it is exhibited in the Noe Museum. For several decades the legality of its acquisition has been debated. Egypt has repeatedly requested the return of the multicolored statue. Number 4. Joa a Canania, which means lost or stolen friend. The monument is one of the main attractions of the British Museum. Built in Rapa Nui, Chile, between the years 1100 and 1600, it was stolen by members of the Royal Navy in the mid-19th century. The 4-ton moai are said to represent the deceased ancestors of the Polynesians.
Yes.
For these symbolic and spiritual reasons, the islanders requested an exchange in Great Britain, the original for a copy in the same format. Number 5. Benin Bronze. More than 1,000 bronze plaques are carved since the 13th century for the royal palace of the Benin Kingdom in honor of the divine king and his powerful empire. In 1897, the British Army seized much of this treasure. A handful of them are still on display in the British Museum and are at the center of the repatriation debate because of the context in which they were obtained. Since 1960, Nigeria has demanded its return. Number 6. Magdale Treasure. This 18th century gold crown and other Ethiopian treasures are on display at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. They were looted by British forces after the Battle of Magdale in 1868.
168.
Ethiopia has been adamant about its return in recent years. Number 7. Cyrus Cylinder. The clay cylinder includes a cuneiform declaration in which the Persian king Cyrus the Great authorized his conquest of Babylon. Dating back to 539 BC, which experts have described as the first declaration of human rights, it created a diplomatic dispute between the United Kingdom and Iran, leading them to re-establish it. All they get is a loan for a few months. Number 8. Pieces of the Quimbayas treasure in the American Museum. It is a set of about 120 gold and tumbaca objects, exhibited in the Museum of America in Madrid, found in a set of 2 tombs of this pre-Columbian culture donated by the Colombian government to the Spanish crown. At the end of 2017, the Constitutional Court of Colombia ordered the government to recover the treasure. Number 9. Ishtar Gate, built around 575 BC. The Ishtar Gate became the 8th fortified entrance to the ancient city of Babylon in modern-day Iraq. More than 12 meters high, the door was decorated with beautiful glazed brick reliefs, dragons and bulls. The remains of the ancient gate, discovered in 1899 during the excavations of German archaeologist Robert Koldewey, were restored with the original pieces and have been exhibited in the Pergamon Museum in Berlin since 1930. Requests were made in 2002 to return the gate to Iraq with unsuccessful results. Number 10. The Plume of Montezuma. The Montezuma plume is a headdress made with quetzal feathers mounted on a gold base decorated with precious stones. It is said that it was a piece given by this Aztec emperor, who ruled from 1502 to 1520, to the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés, who would have sent it to the King of Spain. It is not clear how it ended up in Austria, where it was discovered in a castle closet by geologist Ferdinand von Hackstetter, who had just been appointed director of the newly founded Museum of Natural History in Vienna in 1878.
178.
Mexico had been asking for the return of Moctezuma's feather for several years and made a formal request in 1991. However, an investigation commissioned by the Austrian government concluded that the piece could not be returned because it was too difficult to protect it from the vibrations caused by the flight to Mexico. Number 11. Status of the monarchs of the Kingdom of Dahomey. The Kingdom of Dahomey flourished in West Africa during the 18th and 19th centuries, in an area that was later colonized by France and which became part of modern-day Benin after independence. In July 2016, the Benin government sent a letter to French authorities requesting the return of colonial treasures stolen from the country, which are now in museums and private collections. A Benin civil society group estimates that settlers and missionaries brought between 4,500 and 6,000 items to France. Many of these works are exhibited in the Branly-Jacques Chirac Museum in Paris. The most important objects are the statues of the last kings of the Abame dynasty. So President Macron now has a place to start fulfilling his promise. Well friends, this has been today's video. If you know of any stories of treasure stolen from nations in ancient times, you just have to leave the data in the comments box so we can investigate and make another video. I hope you liked this one. I await your comments. I invite you to subscribe to my channel and share it. Don't forget to activate the bell so you don't miss an upcoming video. Thank you very much and see you soon.